After my husband's patient died on the operating table, he knelt down and begged me to take the blame for him. Honey, my future can't be ruined. Just confess, and I'll clear your name quickly. But the day after my license was revoked, he got together with the intern I had personally mentored. That girl wore my white coat, stroked her lower abdomen, and said to me triumphantly, "Senior dear, Julian said your hands are useless now, but my hands can heal the sick and wounded, and also bear him children." I laughed. His future. He had no future long ago. The operating room lights went out. The cold metal door was pushed open, and Julian leaned against the wall, as if drained of all strength, his surgical gown soaked in sweat. The patient. How is the patient? I stepped forward, my voice trembling. Dead. My mind went blank. How could that be? Wasn't the surgery successful? Julian was the youngest chief physician of surgery in the city hospital, and this surgery was crucial to him, related to his vice president election in the second half of the year. He finally raised his head, his bloodshot eyes staring fixedly at me. A surgical sponge is missing. I was struck by lightning. I was the scrub nurse for this surgery, responsible for counting all surgical instruments. Before and after surgery, counting twice, signing and confirming. This is the iron rule. My record clearly stated quantity correct. Impossible, I screamed. I counted twice. It's absolutely impossible for one to be missing. Julian suddenly grabbed my wrist, his grip so strong it felt like he was going to crush my bones. Clara, the autopsy report will be out soon. Retained instruments. The patient died of postoperative infection. This is a major medical accident. Just then, the operating room door was pushed open violently, and a man with a face full of rage rushed in, grabbing Julian by the collar. "Where's my brother? How's my brother? Didn't you say the surgery was successful?" The deceased's brother, a notorious thug who owned a mine, was extremely unreasonable. Julian was shaken until his face was pale, repeatedly explaining, "We did our best." "Did your best? I spent 300,000 and you give me did your best?" The man roared, and a fist was about to smash down. At that moment, I looked at his tall and painful back, and still harbored a trace of fantasy in my heart. I thought he would take responsibility. After all, he was Julian, who once swore to heal the sick and wounded. At the end of the corridor, a slender figure ran over. It was Lily, my sponsored fellow villager, the intern I personally mentored. "Brother, don't hit him." She rushed forward crying, standing in front of Julian. "Dr. Julian didn't even eat to save your brother. You can't do this." She was also clutching a cell phone. The screen lit. The last call in the call log was Julian's name. Julian did receive a phone call during the surgery. He said it was an emergency in the department. It turned out to be Lily's emergency. My heart sank inch by inch. Lily was still acting pitifully. "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have called Dr. Julian during his surgery. I was just being followed and was so scared." The deceased's family members were even more furious when they heard this. What? Playing on the phone during surgery? Disregarding human life? The scene was completely out of control. Julian looked at me, a trace of panic and pleading flashing in his eyes. He seemed to remember something and suddenly said to me, "Clara, you're the most careful when checking the instruments. Think again, could it be you were too tired and miscounted?" I looked at him and suddenly felt an immense absurdity. He had praised me countless times in front of everyone. With Clara around, my surgery is doubly insured. But now, he was implying that I had made a mistake. That night when we got home, Julian thumped and knelt down in front of me. This always proud man, with red eyes, was like a stray dog. "Wife, save me." I looked at him coldly, without saying a word. "I can't have anything happen to me." He was incoherent, clutching at my trouser leg. "This accident, I'll have my medical license revoked, I'll be sentenced. My whole life will be over." I laughed and tears streamed down my face. "So, this is the mistake you made, Julian. Because you took Lily's call, you ruined a life, you ruined your own future." I was confused for a moment. Lily said she was being followed. I was worried about her. That's why I was distracted. She has my younger self in her, passionate, innocent. I just wanted to take care of her a little more. What a ridiculous excuse. Lily has my younger self in her? Then who is he looking at when he looks at me? Clara, haven't you forgotten? Who are the deceased's family? They won't let me go. They will try to destroy me. Wife, help me. He started to cry, a man in his 30s, crying like a child in front of me. You're the head instrument nurse. Checking the instruments is your responsibility. Just say it was your mistake in checking. I looked at him in disbelief. We fell in love in college and worked hard together. Only I know how much I sacrificed for him to be where he is today. He said that he could see his youthful passion for medicine in me. He said I was his strongest support. Now this support is about to be pushed out by him to block the bullet aimed at him. Julian, do you know what you're saying? Wife, I'm the future hope of surgery. I can save more people. Sacrificing you is for saving more people. Julian, are you asking me to take the blame? It's not taking the blame. He anxiously defended. It's temporary. You admit it first, take responsibility. You're a nurse. At most you'll have your license revoked. You won't go to jail. Seeing that I was wavering, he immediately upped the ante. Think about your parents, how proud they are of me, their son-in-law. If something happens to me, how can they hold their heads up in front of their relatives? And our home, if I'm finished, this home is finished. His tearful pleas were all about taking responsibility for the family. The absurd words made the last bit of warmth in my heart disappear. My hand trembled in my pocket, instinctively turning on the recording function of my phone. When I become the vice president of the hospital, I'll make you the director of the nursing department. Together as husband and wife, who will dare to look down on you? When the time comes, I will definitely find a way to clear your name and bring you back in glory. I looked at the huge wedding photo on the wall of our marital bedroom. In the photo, he was smiling so brightly, holding me and saying that he would make me the happiest Mrs. Julian in the world. 7 years of marriage, those vows, those days and nights of mutual support. At this moment, they had all turned into a huge joke. Clara, I beg you. He started to kowtow once, and then again, his forehead hitting the floor, making a dull sound. I promise, this is the last time. I will treat you well for the rest of my life and cherish you like a treasure. I looked at the man I had supported from nothing to where he was today. I closed my eyes. My mind was filled with the desperate cries of the family and Julian's face, distorted with fear. Okay, I said. I promise you. His eyes instantly flashed with ecstasy. At that moment I knew. The man I had loved for 7 years was dead. The hospital investigation team arrived quickly. In the conference room, hospital leaders, the medical affairs department, and several respected senior experts looked at me with disappointment. Clara, as the head nurse, you signed the post-operative instrument count sheet, correct? Yes. Why was there an omission? I lowered my head and recited, word for word, what Julian had taught me. I'm sorry, I wasn't feeling well that day. I assisted in several major surgeries in a row, and was mentally exhausted. I miscounted. You want to evade responsibility with a simple mentally exhausted? That was a human life. One of the senior experts slammed the table in anger. I bit my lip tightly. Julian sat in the corner of the audience area. His head was lowered, and his shoulders trembled slightly, as if he was heartbroken by my mistake. The final disciplinary action was announced. Dismissal, revocation of my nursing license, a major demerit recorded in my file, and a lifetime ban from working in the nursing industry. 15 years in the profession, from a clueless intern to the head nurse of surgery. All my efforts were wiped out overnight. When I packed my things, everyone in the department avoided me. The interns I had personally trained now looked at me like I was a plague and walked around the corners to avoid me. Only one junior nurse, who was close to me, gave me an apple with red eyes. Sister Clara, you. Take care. I became the shame of the entire hospital. And Julian, because he discovered the problem in time, and was righteous in exposing a family member, became a role model in the eyes of hospital leaders, responsible and principled. He became a hero for daring to assume supervisory responsibility. And I was the culprit who almost ruined the hero. He began to get busier and busier, often not coming home at night. Home became a cold, empty house. That day, I suddenly received a photo on my phone. It was sent by Lily. The photo showed her and Julian at a fancy restaurant, smiling sweetly. A few seconds later, she retracted it. The caption was, "Sent it to the wrong person, sorry Sister Clara." But that photo was already imprinted in my mind like a brand. That night, Julian came home drunk and threw his phone carelessly on the sofa. The screen was lit up, showing the chat interface with Lily. "Dear Julian, the head nurse scolded me again today. I'm so sad. Ignore her. She's just jealous that you're young and talented. But Sister Clara is your wife after all." "Her? She's just a useless person whose license has been revoked. Lily, you are my little son. I only feel relaxed when I'm with you. Being with Clara is too much pressure, suffocating." I held the phone, feeling icy all over. Julian came out of the bedroom and saw the phone in my hand. His face instantly changed. He rushed over and snatched the phone away. "Clara, what are you doing? Who told you to snoop through my phone?" I raised my head and stared at him fixedly. "My little son? Julian, is this how you're helping me clear my name?" He avoided my gaze, then became enraged. "What nonsense are you talking about? Lily and I are innocent." "Innocent?" I shoved the photos Lily sent me in his face. "Is this innocent too?" He was stunned, then even more furious, he started to twist the truth. "Clara, you're just unemployed now, your mentality is warped. Always suspicious. I took the blame for the family. And now you're making a fuss over this little thing? Do you even understand?" He turned around and blamed me, pushing all the fault onto me, as if I was the ungrateful madwoman. "Look at you now, like a complaining widow." That sentence, like a poisoned blade, accurately pierced the softest part of my heart. I laughed. "Yes, you shouldn't have let me take the blame. You should have gone to jail yourself." I thought that sentence, "shouldn't have let you take the blame," was the limit of his shamelessness. But I didn't expect that, in order to humiliate me, he could do even worse. He froze all of our joint accounts, using the excuse, "I'll manage your money for you first, until your emotions are stable. I'm afraid you'll waste it." He cut off all my sources of income. Then, like a savior, he appeared in front of me. I went to him for living expenses, and he was chatting and laughing with some colleagues in the hospital corridor. When he saw me, he didn't avoid me at all, but instead, in front of everyone, said to me in a compassionate tone, "Clara, staying at home all the time isn't a solution. I'll find you something to do." It's also considered me as a husband, doing everything I can. I thought he had a change of heart, and was going to fulfill his promise to help me restore my reputation. But I didn't expect that what he meant by "find you something to do" was to have me work as a cleaner in the hospital. And it was assigned to the surgical ward that I used to be most familiar with. "This is the best arrangement for you." He stood in front of me, explaining condescendingly, "You're familiar with the environment here, and I can look after you. The salary isn't high, but it's enough for you to spend." The surrounding colleagues looked at me with a mixture of sympathy and amusement. Looking at his hypocritical face, I trembled with anger. He actually made me, wearing the most humble blue uniform, clean toilets and dispose of trash in the place where I once struggled and was glorified. He wanted all my former colleagues to see my current downfall. "Julian, do you have to humiliate me like this?" "Humiliate?" He frowned, looking innocent. "I'm helping you. Clara, don't be ungrateful." I had no choice. The next day, I put on that humiliating uniform and returned to the city hospital. But this time, I was holding a broom and mop instead of trays and medical records. And Lily had already put on the head nurse uniform that originally belonged to me. She wore that white uniform with a bit of triumphant swagger. She quickly found new ways to torment me. She used her authority as head nurse to order me to clean the toilets in the infectious disease department. The filth there was avoided by all the cleaners. "Sister Clara, please take care of this." She stood at the door, pinching her nose, and ordered me condescendingly. "Newcomers are slow, you're experienced, you can definitely clean it up." Her words drew a burst of laughter from the people around. Even more disgusting, she often accidentally got used cotton swabs and bloody gauze on me. Then he pretended to come over and apologize. "Oh Clara, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Don't be angry." The people around looked at my disheveled state, their sympathy feeling more like charity. An old doctor who once respected me couldn't bear to watch, and wanted to say something on my behalf. Julian, isn't this a bit much, the way you're treating Clara? Julian immediately interrupted him, laughing. Dear Mason, you don't understand. I'm doing this to give her something to do. Otherwise, she'll overthink things at home and easily get depressed. I'm doing this for her own good. One sentence shut everyone up. I became that pathetic creature tormented by her husband, for her own good. I didn't cry nor did I make a scene. I just quietly cleaned up, then gave them a strange smile as I watched their proud backs. I started collecting evidence. The medical waste Lily deliberately threw on me. I secretly collected it. The scene of her and Julian being intimate in the stairwell. I recorded it with my phone. Every instance of Julian's cold violence and verbal abuse towards me, I recorded it. At the hospital's annual gala, all the hospital staff gathered. Julian, as the outstanding doctor of the year, went on stage to speak. He wore a neat suit, standing under the spotlight, full of vigor. After thanking the hospital leaders and his colleagues, his gaze fell deeply on Lily below the stage. Here, I would also like to especially thank someone. In the lowest and most difficult period of my life, it was she who gave me spiritual support and encouragement, allowing me to rediscover my passion for medicine. She is like a ray of sunshine illuminating me. Everyone's eyes turned to Lily. Lily stood up, with a shy and touched smile on her face, gazing deeply at Julian on the stage. Thunderous applause. Everyone thought he was referring to the difficult period after that medical accident. Only I knew that his low point, his darkness, referred to the suffocating life with me. And Lily was the little sun that saved him. They gazed at each other affectionately, as if they were the most loving couple in the world. My head buzzed, and my blood rushed to the top of my head. I don't know where the strength came from, but I threw away the garbage bag in my hand and rushed towards the stage like a madwoman. Julian, you liar. You're not human. But before I could reach the front of the stage, I was held back tightly by several tall security guards. Let go of me. Let go of me. Julian stood on the stage, looking down at me. The venue was in an uproar. Everyone was pointing at me. Isn't that Clara? Why is she so crazy? Serves her right. She made a mistake at work and wants to blame Dr. Julian. Exactly, look how well Dr. Julian and Nurse Lily go together. She's just jealous. Lily leaned against Julian, a victorious smile on her lips, her eyes full of contempt. I was rudely dragged out of the venue by the security guards and thrown onto the cold corridor. But I didn't cry. I just raised my head, looked at that glamorous pair of dogs and men in the venue, and laughed. Lily is pregnant. She held a pregnancy test report, found me while I was mopping the floor, and showed off. Clara, I'm pregnant with Dr. Julian's child. She deliberately stuck out her still flat stomach, her face overflowing with pride. Dr. Julian said he will divorce you immediately. A useless person whose license has been revoked, don't occupy the position of Mrs. Julian. I watched her expressionlessly, without saying a word. Her boasting didn't elicit the breakdown and jealousy she expected, which annoyed her. Her eyes darted, and a plan formed in her mind. She walked to the stairwell I had just mopped, where it was still damp. Sister Clara, do you think Dr. Julian prefers the son or daughter I'm carrying for him? As she spoke, she deliberately leaned backward. Ah, a piercing scream. She tumbled down the stairs. Everything happened so fast. Before I could even react, Julian rushed out of the office like a madman. He ran down the stairs, picked up Lily lying in a pool of blood, his expression as if the sky had fallen. Lily, how are you? Lily weakly opened her eyes, extended a trembling hand, and pointed at me. It was her. Sister Clara. She pushed me. Julian suddenly raised his head, the hatred in his eyes almost flaying me alive. Clara, you poisonous woman. Holding Lily, he rushed to me like a furious lion and slapped me hard. A crisp, loud smack echoed. My face burned with pain, and my ears rang. You're so intolerant of her? Intolerant of my child. He cursed at me, his face contorted. I'll kill you. People quickly gathered around. No one spoke up for me. Everyone looked at me, the insane culprit, with condemning eyes. I covered my face, watching Lily being rushed to the emergency room, watching Julian glaring at me. I laughed heartily. Lily, you really are my good sister. To frame me, you're even willing to sacrifice your own child. You bet on your pregnant belly, wanting to keep me down forever. But you don't know. This fall of yours has also completely cut off all retreat for you and Julian. Julian soon filed for divorce in court. The reason was my bad character and malicious injury. He demanded that I leave with nothing. Not only that, but he also bribed a psychiatrist, wanting to forge a mental illness certificate for me. That way, he could not only get divorced smoothly but also turn the intentional injury charge into a mental breakdown, thereby mitigating the impact of Lily's fake fall on his reputation. He really is calculating every step. A few days later, several men in white coats barged into my house, holding a compulsory admission notice from the mental hospital. Miss Clara, you are suspected of intentionally hurting someone and have a very unstable mental state. You need to come with us to the hospital for treatment. I did not resist. I was forcibly taken away by them and stuffed into the car. Outside the car window, Julian stood indifferently, watching me being taken away, as if looking at a piece of discarded trash. I mouthed something to him through the car window. Wait for me. The mental hospital is a place more terrifying than hell. White walls, white sheets, the pungent smell of disinfectant. And those patients with hollow eyes and bizarre behavior. I was locked up as a real madwoman. Every day, nurses forcibly fed me various unknown drugs. After taking those drugs, people become drowsy and sluggish. They want to use drugs to turn me into a real madwoman. I pretend to swallow the medicine every time, then spit it out when they aren't looking. I have to stay awake. More awake than ever before. During the day, I imitate the other patients, talking to the walls, or suddenly bursting into laughter, crying, and making a scene. The crazier I act, the less guarded they are around me. At night, when everyone is asleep, I keep my eyes open, reviewing my plan over and over again in the darkness. Every day is torment for me. But I know I can't fall. Julian and Lily are still living well. How can I fall? Half a month later, they came to visit me together. Julian wore an expensive suit, his hair meticulously combed. Lily leaned against his arm like a little bird. She hadn't miscarried. Her belly was only slightly swollen, and she wore a fake look of concern. Sister Clara, are you doing okay here? She looked at my messy hair and dirty hospital gown through the visiting window, her eyes unable to hide her smugness. Dear, Julian is very worried about you. He says to relax and focus on your treatment here, and not to worry about anything outside. Julian stood to the side, frowning, looking impatient. Clara, cooperate with the doctors. Stop causing trouble. Once you're better, we'll get the divorce papers done. I looked at the perfect couple outside the glass window, and slowly smiled. I pointed to Lily's stomach, my voice hoarse and cold. Are you sure that child will be born safely? Lily's face changed slightly. Julian rebuked sternly, Clara, what nonsense are you spouting again? I ignored him, just staring intently at Lily, saying each word slowly. Lily, do you remember the patient who died during that surgery? I heard his family owns mines with 7 or 8 brothers, all notorious tough guys, not to be trifled with. They've been looking for the truth about that medical accident. What if? What if they found out that the patient didn't die because of my mistake, but because Dr. Julian forgot a scalpel inside the patient because he was taking your call? What would they do to you? And what would they do to the little son in your belly? Lily's face instantly turned pale as paper. The hand she used to grab Julian's arm involuntarily tightened. Julian was also stunned. He didn't expect I would know about the call. I looked at their terrified expressions and smiled even more happily. Don't worry, the show has only just begun. I told them that the family of the deceased in that surgery had been making a scene at the hospital recently, and that I had already sent a gift, anonymously to the family of the deceased through a little nurse who had been moved by me. On the 3rd day after the recording was sent, something happened at the hospital. That day, Julian was giving Lily a prenatal checkup. In the ultrasound room, he gently held Lily's hand, looking at the small image on the screen, his eyes filled with the joy of becoming a father. Look, the baby is so healthy. Dear Julian, do you prefer a boy or a girl? Whatever you give birth to, I'll love. As the two were immersed in their sweet moment, the door of the ultrasound room was kicked open. More than a dozen fierce-looking burly men rushed in, led by the deceased's brother, a bald man with a face full of arrogance. "Julian!" The bald man roared, shaking the entire floor. Julian and Lily were terrified. "You! Who are you? What do you want?" Julian shouted, putting on a brave face. "What do we want?" The bald man sneered, took out a recording pen from his pocket, and pressed the play button. Julian's pleading voice instantly reverberated throughout the ultrasound room. "Honey, save me. My future can't be ruined. Just admit it first, take the blame. You're a nurse, at most they'll just revoke your license. Once things blow over, I'll definitely find a way to clear your name." I was just momentarily confused. Lily said she was being followed. That's why I was distracted. The content of the recording was accurate, word for word. Julian's face instantly lost all color. Lily, even more so, collapsed on the examination bed, shaking like a leaf. "So it was you, you son of a bitch, calling this little slut that caused my brother's death." The bald man's eyes were bloodshot, like an enraged beast. The people he brought instantly surrounded Julian and Lily. The hospital was in complete chaos. The security guards who rushed to the scene couldn't stop the angry relatives. The relatives played the recording over and over again in front of the entire hospital. Julian's disgraceful kneeling and begging, his affair with Lily, the truth about him making me take the blame for his career. All the dirty secrets were completely exposed to the light of day. The public was in an uproar. The entire city hospital, the entire city's medical community, was shaken by this recording. The matter blew up too big to suppress. Soon, reporters arrived on the scene. "Dr. Julian, is the content of the recording true? Did you really make your wife take the blame for a medical malpractice accident for your own career? Nurse Lily, what is your relationship with Dr. Julian? Was the phone call he received on the day of the patient's death really from you?" Flashes of light kept flashing, each question like a sharp sword, nailing them to the pillar of shame. The development of events was faster than I had anticipated. Under immense public pressure, an even more explosive piece of news surfaced. Julian's wife, Clara, whom he had personally sent to a mental hospital, had gone mad. No, she had been driven mad. The small caregiver whom I had convinced with my past experiences and the truth before her, risked her life to reveal the information to reporters. She described in detail how I was forcibly admitted to the hospital, drugged every day, and suffered all kinds of torment. She also brought out the diary I secretly wrote when I was insane. In the diary, I used chaotic handwriting to record Julian and Lily's various misdeeds, as well as my thirst for the truth and my accusations against them. The image of a pitiful woman who took the blame for love, only to be betrayed by her husband and best friend, and ultimately driven mad, instantly aroused everyone's sympathy and anger. Too vicious. This is a modern version of Pan Jinlian and Shimanqing. Putting his own wife in a mental hospital. Are these two dogs still human? Thorough investigation. Must be thoroughly investigated. Give Clara justice. Online, the outcry against Julian and Lily grew louder and louder. In order to quell the incident and restore its reputation, the hospital immediately established a special task force and announced a reinvestigation into the medical malpractice accident from a year ago. The police also quickly intervened. Medical malpractice, falsifying evidence, illegal detention. Julian's crimes were listed one by one. When he was taken away by the police from his office, he completely collapsed. He was no longer as high-spirited as he used to be, like a dead dog with all its tendons removed. As an accomplice, Lily naturally couldn't escape either. She was suspended by the hospital and had to accept police inquiries every day. The child in her womb became her only lifeline. She wanted to use her status as a pregnant woman to gain sympathy and reduce her guilt, but she forgot that I had already prepared another, big gift for her. During the police investigation, I opportunely provided a key piece of evidence. A surveillance video of Lily shopping at the mall, lively and energetic, even arguing with someone, in the days before her miscarriage. She didn't have a threatened miscarriage because of faking a fall at all. Everything was a scam she orchestrated herself. The charge of false accusation and framing was also established. I was rescued from the mental hospital. When I walked out of that hellish place and saw the dazzling sunlight, I calmly didn't shed a single tear. Greeting me were countless reporters and cameras. The director of the mental hospital and relevant doctors were all investigated and punished for illegal detention and misuse of drugs. My reputation was cleared. I stood in front of the camera, looking at those people who once despised me, but were now full of sympathy. I said word by word, clearly, "I'm not crazy. I was just waiting for an opportunity to punish the wicked. Now the opportunity has come." Julian was thrown into prison. Convicted of multiple crimes, he was sentenced to 10 years. 10 years is enough to ruin a surgeon's golden career. His hands, his future that he was so proud of, were completely ruined from the moment he made me take the blame. Lily's fate wasn't any better. She was fired from the hospital, and her reputation was ruined. Because of her pregnancy, she was given a suspended sentence, but this stain would accompany her for the rest of her life. She was forcibly taken back to her hometown by her parents. I heard that her patriarchal family beat and scolded her because she wasn't carrying a son. In the end, she accidentally miscarried in an argument and was kicked out by her husband's family. I hope she likes the taste of falling from the clouds into the mud. I didn't stop there. I filed a civil lawsuit against Julian and Lily, demanding compensation for mental distress. The court ultimately ruled that they should pay me a large sum of money. That money was most of their marital property. I took that money and took a long vacation for myself. I went to many places and saw many scenery. I tried to forget the unbearable past and the man named Julian, but I knew that some scars would remain there forever. A year later, I reobtained my nursing license. When I put on that white nurse uniform again, I felt like I was reborn. I returned to the city hospital. The director personally apologized to me and hoped that I could stay and be reinstated. I refused the position of head nurse and chose to be an ordinary ward nurse. I just wanted to quietly do the nursing work I loved. Healing the wounded and rescuing the dying, that was my original intention when I studied medicine. The new colleagues were curious about me, but no one dared to ask me about the past directly. Only occasionally would I hear them gossiping behind my back. "Did you see that? That's Clara. She's amazing. She took down her ex-husband and the mistress all by herself. Yeah, I heard her ex-husband is having a terrible time in there. Someone broke his hands. He deserves it. That kind of scum should be cursed with no descendants." When I heard that, I just smiled faintly. Julian's hands were broken? That's good. I used my hands to serve him tea, pour water, wash clothes, cook meals, and organize his surgical records. I also used these hands to bear a monstrous crime for him. And he wanted to cripple my hand, ruin my life. Now his hand is broken, he can no longer hold a scalpel. This is very fair. As for his future, he already had no future. From the moment he made me take the blame, it was completely ruined. I lowered my head, smoothed out my clothes, pushed the medical cart, and walked towards the next ward. At the end of the corridor, the sunlight was bright. And my life has finally emerged from the clouds.